Hey everybody, I hope you guys are all doing okay. My name is Ali, and welcome to the start of a new project. We're going to be doing Might and Magic 9. Now there's a lot to say about this, but before I get into it, I'll just mention that this video is going to be entirely me just talking about this game, talking about the series, like starting with why I'm even doing the series, and then talking about the goals of the series and other things. So if you want to skip straight to the gameplay, there should be another video already uploaded. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm not even going to upload this. I'm not going to upload this episode until I'm also ready to upload the very next episode, which is going to be going through the tutorial areas and actually starting the game. So if you want to skip ahead to it, you will have something to watch. Just mentioning that in case there are people out there who just want to get straight to the game. Okay, so with all of that said, it's now time to talk about this game, because there is a lot to talk about. Now, with my channel, the very first thing I uploaded was the very first thing I did, you uploaded one episode at a time, but the very first thing I did was the Might and Magic 6 series. I did Might and Magic 6 because it was a very special game to me. It was one of the first, what I consider one of the first proper video games that I played. Especially, and definitely definitely the first proper RPG that I played. Loved it as a child, played it many times as an adult, and then recorded it on my channel to share with the world. And then I did Might and Magic 7 and Might and Magic 8. Now Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8 I consider to be kind of a closed loop, or I guess that's not the way to say it. A trilogy, that's a better way to put it. Because they have similar engines, similar game mechanics. Just even though they're different in their own way, they have a similar feel to them. So at the end of Might and Magic 8, the playthrough that I did, I must have said something to the effect of, like, there is a Might and Magic 9, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it. And the reasons for that are, well, where do we even begin? So, like, this game is one of those games that has a bit of a reputation behind it. It has a certain aura to it, and a lot of that is for not very good reasons, right? This game is universally accepted as not a good game. Let's just put it out there. But the main reasons why it came out the way it did have less to do with, just a bunch of bad developers making a bad game, and it's really more of a sad story of people who are trying their best, but under very difficult conditions. I think the company might have even gone actually bankrupt in the middle of this project, and then in the middle of them trying to make this game, and then they're like, you know what, let's just do the best that we can. But hang on, let me just check one thing. Is the sound okay? The sound is still fine. Because when I first launched it, the music was a little bit loud. Anyway, sorry for that distraction. Getting back to the story. So the actual story is pretty sad, but the sadness or the sad part of it was something that I only learned about later in life. Because when I first played the game, which is to say when I first got the CD and installed it on my old Pentium 3 or whatever we had at the time. God, it's so long ago. Anyway, let's not dwell on how old I am. When I first played the game, I didn't understand what I was getting myself into and the experience that it left me with. And I'm sure this is the case for a lot of people who were fans of the Might and Magic series before they played this game. The letdown was so bad. I'm not gonna say it was traumatizing, because that's a very seems like a melodramatic way to put it. But it was so disappointing, and the disappointment was just made even more acute by the fact that the series had such a huge reputation. Now, why was it so bad? Well, there was an obvious lack of polish that was evident throughout the game, but the main reason that I had such a bad experience was because I ran into game-breaking bugs where I couldn't even progress the main quest. I had no idea what I did, but there was a quest that the series will not complete until you complete this quest. I'm talking about, of course, the Anscrum Keep quest. There's a quest where you need to kill everybody inside, but certain enemies don't spawn until you do certain things. But if you enter through certain doors, the enemy won't spawn. Something dumb like that, right? And the player would have no way of knowing that if you just play the game normally and enter through and you leave or you do something, and then this is going to cause this to break. You're not going to be able to complete this quest, and then because that is one of the quests that you need to do to complete the first stage, it just won't progress the game. You just won't be able to play the game. So that was my first experience with the game. That it seemed like a game that it didn't have the same level of care put into it as the previous games in the series. And at the time, I was obviously a kid, right? As a kid, you don't have the maturity you need to understand that, okay, maybe these people were not actively trying to ruin my day. Maybe there were other reasons that the game ended up like this. I was only thinking of it in the sense of, oh man, I love the series so much. This game is such a letdown, and I'm angry almost, right? So that was my first experience, and a lot of people probably had the same experience if they played the game close to when it first came out. Now, they did eventually release some official patches, but the way patches worked back in the day was you had to hunt them down and find them and then install them yourself. The game wouldn't just automatically update the way programs do now. And I think the official patches fixed a lot of the game's problems, but it wasn't until the community patch was made. If you see this little icon here, the 1.3, and it's a bit hard to read, but you'll see TELP in the background. So this community patch, many would argue, this is what finally made the game playable. Now, I don't know when this patch was put out relative to when the game came out, but I didn't learn about it until years later. And that's kind of wild, that it takes the efforts of fans of the series, and nobody's paying them to do this, of their own volition. They put in the effort and bring out this community-made patch that finally makes this game playable. Now, based on everything that I've said, you might be wondering, what is the point? What would be the point of doing this series? Because all you've been doing is you've been trash talking it. So why should we watch this series when you've been bad-mouthing the game so much? And the important thing to keep in mind is everything that I've told you, the bad feelings that I had, that was my perspective as a child playing the game who didn't know better. As an adult going back to it, especially after the community-made patch was put out, once, the bad taste in my mouth of, like first impressions matter a lot, right? And it took a long time for me to get over the just bad feeling. It seems like such a clumsy way to put it, but just the like you associate the game with the worst moment you had with it, which is realizing that you're not, like, you played it for like 10-20 hours. Now you're not going to be able to finish the main quest and you don't even know why. So that took a lot of time for me to get over, but eventually I did reach the point where I'm like, let's just give the game another chance. Let's see if there's anything else in there to it. And I'm really glad I did that. This would have been... I don't remember when I did that. I think around 2010 maybe was when I played the game properly. And when I finally played it, I was actually kind of blown away. Because there is actually a lot in this game. In fact, there are some quests that are just perfectly crafted. There's some areas that are just beautifully made. Obviously, the amount of content isn't as much as Might and Magic 6, 7, or 8, but a lot of the content that they did put in was actually very good. And not even good in the sense of, oh, like, I have low expectations and it, like, that it's just surprisingly good compared to how bad I thought it was going to be, but no, like, genuinely good. And I realized, the devs, even though this is widely regarded as not a good game, probably justifiably so, if you look at it through the lens of just how, like the obstacles that they had to face, and how much they were able to do, and admittedly with help from the community. When you put all of that together, you're like, okay, they actually did get a lot done, and there's a lot to even be impressed about. So there's a lot of content in this game that's pretty high quality in terms of planning and execution, not necessarily in terms of polish. That's going to be a recurring theme. Like, there is some stuff in there, but the thing that I liked the most out of this game, there's a few quests that were a few quests that were really nice. But the thing that I liked the most about this game was the character development system. And now I'm gonna say something that might be controversial, which is the character progression system in this game might be my favorite out of the entire Might and Magic series. Well, I'm talking specifically about Might and Magic 6, 7, 8, and I'm including 9 in this as well. I think the character progression in this game is my favorite. I'm just gonna go out and say it. So Might and Magic 6 had very decent character progression. Might and Magic 7 added extra layers on top of that. Might and Magic 8 had its own special twist. Might and Magic 9, again, similar concepts. You have skills, and then you go to trainers. When you gain levels, you get skill points, and then you put them in your skills. You become expert at rank 4, then there's master and grandmaster. That part of it is still there. The thing that makes it... I don't want to get too much into it, because I could go down a real rabbit hole talking about the development in this game. But the gist of it is that there are branching pathways that each character can take. You start out as a basic might type or magic type. Then there are 2 options for the might type for your first basic promotion. And then there are 2 more types for each of those basic promotions. It splits again. So for instance, I guess you can kind of think of the first promotion as roughly light or dark. So the light side promotion for a normal fighter character would be Crusader, and then from Crusader, your second and final promotion can either be a Paladin or a Ranger. That's just one example. And then each path has two splits, so I think that comes out to like 8 total character classes that you can have. And there's so much more to this. The character progression is a lot of fun. Another thing I really love about this game is the itemization. They nailed it. It's so good in this game. They have the usual, items can have certain modifiers, like random modifiers if they're regular items. Then they've got special items, artifacts and relics. They've got all of that, and then they also have set items in this game, which is pretty wild, because the sets are actually pretty nicely crafted. They've got interesting properties that kind of work well. The design and artwork for them is pretty good as well. So by the time I finished my first proper playthrough of this game, I was genuinely enjoying myself. I was proud of the party that I'd built, and yeah, that was my experience. And then, like, fast forward to when I started my channel, or when I started doing Might and Magic on my channel. The question then was, like, is there a way to translate, like, the good parts of what I felt into series format? And after much thinking, I'm gonna say the answer to that is yes. And for a couple of reasons. Number one, this community-made patch is gonna help us out a lot. But number two, and I think this is the more important thing, I think gaming as an art form has gotten very mature, and gamers have gotten very mature. And I'm not just talking about, like, that a lot of us are old. I'm talking about even young people, when they play games, are a lot more aware of what goes on behind the scenes in the development process than what it was like when I was playing games in the, late 90s, early 2000s. So even young people, when they play a game, and if it isn't perfect, they'll be able to recognize that, okay, that there are good things, and to the extent that the game has flaws, a lot of these flaws might be due to limitations and not necessarily due to the devs not being good, right? And we can apply that mentality to this game as well. Be like, okay, obviously, there are major issues with it, and we're not going to ignore those issues, but we're going to focus on the things in this game that are valuable. That's going to be the thought process, the philosophy going into the series. Now, I've been talking a lot. I felt like I had to talk a lot because there's so much baggage that this game has, but I think I've said just about enough in terms of setting the stage. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're actually going to do in this series, and then I'll say a few more, I'll mention a few more, like, housekeeping things, and then we're going to wrap this up, and then, you can dive into the gameplay itself, right? Which is going to be in the next episode. So this playthrough, like with Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8, the playthroughs of those games that I did on my channel, is going to be a completionist playthrough. Now, what does that mean? Well, one part of it, and this is like the obvious, kind of almost taken for granted part, which is we're going to do all the quests, marked or unmarked, like everything that there is to do in this game in terms of tasks. Obviously, we're going to do all of that, obviously. The harder part and what I would almost consider to be like by itself, like because everything else kind of it will just get done over time, but there's another part of it that it's possible to fail, and so this is what I consider the true mark of completion for Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8 is, are you able to find all of the artifacts and relics? Although I'm not sure if this game divides them between artifacts and relics the way Might and Magic 6 does. Basically, I'm talking about the special named items. The ones that you can only find once. And the ones that if the game spawns and if you don't find them, you'll never find them again. So that's going to be one of the goals in this series, that we want to find all of the artifacts, all of the named items, all of the special items. This God, excuse me. This is going to include all of the set items, including ones that we're not going to use, the ones that aren't useful to us, just because we want to collect them all. We want to have them all. And similar to Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8, there's gonna be... It's gonna be something that we'll have to be very careful about, because if we mess it up, and if we lose our chance to find an item, then it'll be gone forever. With that in mind, you know, that's gonna be a major concern as we are weaving our way through this series. But I'm confident. I have a plan, right? I had a plan for Might and Magic 6. It worked out. I mean, I get spoiler, I guess, in case you haven't watched that series yet. I was able to find not all of the artifacts, but I was able to hit the maximum limit for artifacts. Might and Magic 7, similarly, Might and Magic 8, I was able to find every single artifact. And in this game as well, if you're careful, you can find every single artifact. That's going to be sort of the guiding goal for the entire series, is we want to find all of the artifacts. And I think that's the only real goal that needs to be mentioned, because everything else, like I said, it's just going to happen by virtue of playing the game normally. The artifact thing, that's the only thing that we are going to have to put a bit more thought into. The other thing to mention is that, and I'm going to be putting a summary of all of this in the video description as well, is that I'm going to be putting the episodes up for this on weekends. Usually there's going to be one episode a week on Saturday, today being one of the exceptions, because I'm going to put this episode and the next episode up, just so anybody who wants to watch the actual game isn't stuck with just this one video of me rambling. But generally there's going to be, I think, at least for the start of the series, probably just one episode on Sunday, on Saturday. One episode on Saturday. I'm going to say around noon, and then a noon Eastern time. And then as we get deeper into the series, I might, you know, get really invested, and I might want to start recording a little bit more. Might even do 2 episodes on certain weeks. If there's a second episode, then the second episode for the week will go up on Sunday, also noon Eastern time. And I think that just about sums up, or that just about covers everything that I had planned to say. Now the only thing left for us to do is call this introductory episode to a close, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode, which is when we're going to be creating our party and starting the game. I hope to see you there, and until then, take care.